survived. Oh, really? Gee, you all need to be more careful. All these injuries. Ah, wow. I just don't know what to say. So, I've already opened the box, but I wonder, oh, you have one too, Jordan. Dear. It must be summer.
I got this the other day.
So, I know everybody's probably got owies, right? So, should we hear a story? This is an old story. A very old story. Yes. Older than me. I don't think you've heard this one before because I'm pretty sure you haven't heard this. You may have heard a bit of this story before, but not exactly the way you're going to hear it today. No. But if you come back August 28th, you'll hear that story. I need to hang on to this, okay? So, this, many of you know this piece of cloth. This tells us that this is a story that happened in the dry land called Israel, in the place where Jesus was born and lived. It makes you thirsty. And this story begins in a little town called Nazareth. Have you heard of Nazareth? Nazareth is the little town where Jesus grew up from the time he was very little. And he grew up in this town with his family, and he did all the things that would happen in this town. He went to synagogue or the church every week, and he took up the job of his family. He became a carpenter. And doing that kind of work didn't pay very much money, so they were quite poor. But in these towns, you always did the same work as your parents did. So if your father was a teacher, you became a teacher. If your father was a carpenter, you became a carpenter. If your father was a minister, you became a minister. Can you imagine having to do exactly the same job as your father and your grandfather? It's kind of different, isn't it? Oh, that's a really good thing to do. So Jesus didn't mind this work, but he noticed as he was working how tired and sad people were because they didn't have very much money and they worked really, really hard. Life was very hard and it didn't seem fair. And as he grew up, he became more and more upset about how hard it was for people to live. And so, finally, after a few years, he couldn't take it anymore, and he left the village. Something that you never did. You always stayed exactly where you were born. But he left the village, and he went out to a river. Which was in the desert, because he heard that there was a strange guy out there who was helping people find a different way to live. And that was a guy named John the Baptist. And you may remember him, we've seen him in stories before. This is the one that he dressed in camel hair, and he ate grasshoppers. Yeah. Well, actually, you're right, Kevin, I'm sorry, but that's not what we're going to hear today. So, Jesus spent, we don't know how long, maybe a few months, maybe a year, maybe several years, he spent with John learning about this different way to live. And Jesus suddenly knew that he wasn't supposed to be a carpenter. He wasn't supposed to be a carpenter, that he needed to be like John. He needed to help people to feel God and to live a better life. And so, after a while, he left the desert, and he went to all different towns telling people about God and making them feel better about how they lived. And everywhere he went, people were amazed at what he had to say and how he taught them. And some of them joined him. Some of them became disciples. And he would go town to town, and more people began to follow him. And everyone thought he was a great teacher, and he could also heal people. He could make people that were sick get well. And finally, after quite a bit of time, he decided he was going to go back to his hometown. And they did. So he went back to Nazareth, and he hadn't been there for quite a while. And his plan was to do the same thing there, was to say to the people, I want to teach you about God, and I want to help you to feel better about your life. But as he started to teach, the people here got angry. They got mad at him. And they said, "Who do you think you are, Jesus? Who do you think you are? You're just a poor carpenter pretending to be a great teacher. Go home and cut wood." Imagine. I wonder why the people from Jesus' own town, own village, were angry at it. I wonder why.
Because he was supposed to be a carpenter, because his father was a carpenter, and he had to be a carpenter, and he wasn't doing his job.
Yeah, so he was breaking the rules, right? Like he wasn't doing his job, you're right, Kathy. I wonder how Jesus felt about how they treated him.
I think he wanted to just say, no, I'm trying to help you.
I wonder what Jesus did next. I wonder.
He may have run away with them and disciples,
May have run away.
because he was upset that they tried to make him do it what he was supposed to be doing.
Well, that's our story. And we're going to sing a really neat little song, which is probably new. So we're going to sing this through. It's a short song. We're going to sing it through maybe 5 or 6 times, Jen. You can just stay seated for this and just join in as this is becomes familiar. And I forget what number it is.
47.
47.